You are listening to WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York, the CJ Mars Radio Network.
Hello, we're live on WCJV Digital Broadcasting out of Youngstown, New York. This is Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio with your host, Roger Belt, and my very special guest, Mr. Christopher St. Booth. And we are going to discuss lots of things. Christopher, how you doing today, sir?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing?
I am just awesome, and we have a chat room full of people waiting to hear this show, and I'm sure a lot of other people chiming in. Lots of things we've got to talk about, and I like bringing up a little bit of past stuff. I talked with you last year, and I know there's lots of new things going on since then, but there's one funny thing that I did want to bring up concerning the Exorcist file. When you guys were on a break or something, the pizza guy came by to deliver pizzas, and you were telling him about the room where the actual exorcism happened and all that, and I remember he was actually like, I don't want no part of that.
Yeah, it freaked him out for sure. He got very freaked out.
You did get him in there though, didn't you? I mean,
oh yeah, he goes all the way up there, but I don't think his pizza making days will ever be the same again.
I thought that was hilarious, but I mean, sometimes just a look on somebody's face is worth 1,000 words. I had to bring that up. But anyway, I've got a lot of things here that I wrote down that I want to get out to the people. August 23rd through the 25th. Cross Country Mall in, is that Mattoon?
Oh, August 21st and 23rd will be in Central Illinois in Mattoon, Illinois. And then on the 22nd,
that's the big Paracon thing there, right?
Yeah, it's the Central Illinois Paracon, and in between that date, we're doing Ashmore Estates. I think there's only 2 tickets left for the ghost hunt, though, at Ashmore. But the Paracon is going to be a lot of fun.
Okay. Let me see, where was I on here? I got so much stuff, I can't keep up with it all. There's a lot of interesting things. The Dead Still screening party. That is going to be on September the 12th?
Yeah, September 12th at Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky, and that's our newest film that was on Sci-Fi of Halloween of last year, and we're proud to present the director's, the uncut version, the foreign version actually, which is longer and it's got a little more cooler graphic stuff in it, and that'll be at Scarefest, Lexington, Kentucky, on September 12th at 8 p.m., and it'll be like a little, we can do a Q&A right after. Then we go to the VIP party, and it's free wine and beer, so you can't really say no to all that good stuff. And I think the tickets are $10, so there you go.
That is a really good deal, I think. I wish I could go there, I really do.
Yeah, it is.
Paranoia book signing tour, and I've got some dates here for people. And August 7th through the 9th at Fandom Fest in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, it's the HorrorCon that we both Rachel and I will be there, and I'll also be signing my new book that I just finished, my first book. I never believed I would be able to write a book for as much as my ADHD mind jumps around. But after 10 years of being involved in craziness, I wanted to sit down and share the story behind the story. So actually, we'll be doing a book signing in Louisville at Fandom Fest on August 7th and 9th. And also just added in Scarefest, September 13th, on the Sunday at 1 p.m., I have a seminar on that book, on the paranormal, going on September 13th at 1 p.m. in Lexington at Scarefest.
Cheryl Carter in the chat room says she has the signed copy. Way to go, Cheryl.
And I think, Cheryl, you have a number that's really close to the beginning of the sign. We only made 100 of the limited editions before we started to actually mass duplicate them. And I think Cheryl got really close to the beginning. I don't know the exact number right in front of it. She got number 2, I think, actually. She got number 2.
She said number 2,
wow.
Yeah.
Congrats to number 2. That's incredible, number 2. I don't even have number 1, so there you go. Very good, very good.
Cheryl's my awesome buddy, so...
Yeah, she's great, now, yes.
Am I correct here that the book has a lot of the stuff to do with cases that you guys have done in the past or films that you've done?
Yeah, the book is the story behind the story of about 10 years of what I've been through. It actually starts out at a very early age when me and Phil had our first, what we believe is paranormal experience with and I don't want to give too much away from the book, but we had a shocking experience when we were very young. And then, of course, it goes through my life of being a rock and roller a little bit, and then moving into starting to make movies, and then going through the horror of making movies in really haunted places, and that actually starts in Waverly Hills. And because it goes through 28 different chapters, to over 28 chapters, of the things that really did happen in the sense of how it changed your life. I guess it's like side effects. I mean, when you're coming home, the after effect of what happened, and now how your mind is changing and how your whole life changes once you've seen the paranormal. Anybody that's ever paranormal experience knows their life pretty much changes when you actually feel that you've confirmed you've seen it yourself a real ghost, or you've gotten a serious spiritual enlightenment. Your whole world changes. And I think that's what I really wanted to get out of this book is the things that are dangerous from that as well as beautiful. And of course I go through 28 different stories, whether it's Ashmore Estates, Zombie Road, Family Hotel, Hinsdale House, different places like that, Waverly Hills, the old Soldiers Home, Gore Orphanage, the Crescent Hotel, all these different places, and also every different movie we've done. And it's just crazy, the stuff that you find, and then exactly how you're supposed to deal with it after you find them.
I wanted to bring up, there was a place that you guys did a documentary on, and I believe the place has been destroyed. And the name is slipping me right now, but it was like a big brick building, asylum, I think, that is no longer, you can't go in there anymore. It's just been destroyed. I think fire or something. I'm not sure.
Is that the one in Ohio?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building. Very sad to see that. Very, very sad to see that go down.
And
it was in pretty much disarray though when we were there. It was falling apart when we were there. I mean, the 5th floor, I guess the attic fell through the 4th, through the 3rd, through the 2nd, and landed on the 1st. So there was pretty much no middle in that whole building. You kind of walked around it on catwalks. I mean, basically the remaining floors, it was hanging in the middle. So it was crazy when we did it, and it was probably only a matter of time that unless somebody had grabbed it and then obviously roped it off and rebuilt it, it was going to go pretty much down. But it was very sad to see. It was very sad to see that it burned down.
Yes, it is, and it reminds me of the mansion that got burned down here. I want to say it was last year before last, where the kids went in there claiming to be ghost hunters or whatever and burned it down.
Oh no.
Yeah, and that was another famous landmark, that got destroyed. But it's always bad when that happens.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure to let everybody know, if you haven't watched any of the documentaries of the Booth brothers, you need to check them out. These guys do what they do with more heart and compassion for the spirits than I've ever seen anybody do. And to me, that means everything.
Well, thank you. I think everybody, I hope, will enjoy the book for that reason. There's a lot of personal feelings that I went through doing Children of the Grave, of course, dealing with children ghosts, and then even dealing some very scary cases where there was some entities and sexual attacks from incubuses and succubuses, and exactly how we had to deal with that, also with children around, as well as the possessed, being in the secret house and finding the kind of stuff that we had found. Some of it that didn't end up in our movie due to the fact it was very controversial, but it's a very human approach to it, and I think that's what is really needed in the paranormal.
Yeah, I think the one that sold me was Children of the Grave when I watched that, and of course then the second one, which delved even further into all that, and then I watched Soul Catcher, and that's kind of like the other side of the coin, but the same thing. And
that was one of my favorite shows, actually, Soul Catcher. Very beautiful stuff.
It has so much, in there that if you ever want to see a grown man cry, that brought tears to my eyes, because, it's a reality. And, that there's a lot of lost souls out there that were put through hell for that stuff, and they can't rest like that, I mean, I don't see how.
It unfortunately in everything. I mean, the Indian genocide was horrible. You're talking, over 12 million, if not more, annihilated to the point there's only just under 300,000 left. I mean, that's the biggest form of any kind of genocide that ever happened, including in Germany, including of any sort of genocide. We seem to brush that under the rug, and that happened basically, here in the U.S. So I think all that is very important to, not dwell on it. You don't want to dwell on it. At the same time, we need to learn so it never happens again. But we enjoyed very much working with the Native Americans down there on the reservation. Their beautiful situation. It was a beautiful gig that we went to, and we had the honor to, they led us into the reservation and let us do what we needed to do. And of course, we didn't want to tell the story. We wanted them to tell the story. It was important that they told us how they felt, and that's what we tried to capture.
Right, and when you can talk to a person that actually lived through some of that stuff, the things they've seen it just breaks your heart. I mean.
Yeah, it does. I mean, a lot of things in the world is breaking one's heart right now. I think we all need to get together and push on that positivity.
How can, I don't see how they can talk about that stuff and not fall apart. It's just got to be one of the hardest things in the world to have to do.
Well, broken spirit usually is, and we have to find a way to overcome that, get back up, and we always have some, relatives or some siblings, the children that we have to make a better world for. So that's what you get up for and basically do. You can't do it for your people that's passed, for yourself. You need to do it for the children.
Yeah, okay. Now I'll go ahead and give some more dates here so, people can make their plans. August 22nd, Ashmore Estates Ghost Hunt in Ashmore, Illinois.
Yeah, I think there's 2 tickets left for that, actually. So if you need 2 tickets to Ashmore, then you can actually go to the Central Illinois Con, which is like only 20 minutes away from that at the same time. But yeah, that's going to be a great one. That's where we shot some of Children of the Grave too, and we're looking forward to return to that.
Awesome. We have August 28th and 29th, Roads to the Paranormal, Spiceland, Indiana. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, the Road to the Paranormal, and that'll be a fun one. And of course, we're doing the Gaia Opera House in Louisville, Indiana, on the 28th. And of course, opera houses are always fun to do. I mean, there's so much fun you can do in an opera house. So I look forward to that.
And 11th through the 13th, Scary Fest, Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, what can you say? That's one of the biggest shows going on after Fandom Fest, and that's going to be fun. It's a horror and it's actually a horror and a paranormal show, and they have all of American Horror there and a few other, a bunch of other people that are pretty cool. And of course, it's a big paranormal event, and the VIP parties are awesome. And of course, we're doing Dead Still there, like you had mentioned. On the 12th,
right.
We're showing off film at 8 o'clock on the 12th, and then the day after that, I'm doing a book signing party too. So it ought to be fun. It's always a good time.
It sounds like you got a busy few days planned there.
Oh yeah. It's getting busier and busier all the time. We're kind of plugging in dates around these dates. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, August 16th, Fright Night, Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, we're gonna be stopping there. I was hoping to do the whole weekend there, but we're doing Ghost Con in Owensboro, Kentucky on October the 17th and 18th. So that'll be fun there.
October 17th and 18th, Ghost Con, Owensboro, Kentucky.
Yeah, that'll be a good one too.
And then December 4th through the 6th, Mineral Wells, Paracon.
In Texas, yes.
In Texas.
Yeah, going to go down to Texas for the December time. Yeah, there you go. And I think we're doing that weekend before. We're doing let's see what weekend is that? Before in December, I think we're doing. Actually, we're doing. What are we doing? We're doing something. I don't remember what date it is. Silly me. But we're doing Chicago. We're going to be doing a Chicago Paracon too.
I thought I had that down, but I guess I didn't see that one.
That might be in October, actually. You know that? Thinking about it, I'm thinking December, but you know what it is. It is October 2nd and 3rd. We just got that one on the chart here. So yeah, we're doing Chicago Con, and that's on Friday the 2nd through the 4th.
Now, I wanted to. This is just something I'm gonna bring up real quick because I've talked to this lady. Death Tunnel spooked the ghosts of Waverly Hills. And I love that, by the way. But I talked to a lady who was actually in that documentary.
Oh, which one?
Her name is Kathy Gales.
Oh, I know her well. She's a beautiful person, yes.
Yeah, and her and I have chatted quite a bit, actually. And she was the one, because I would have never knew it. And she said, yeah, I was actually in that, because I brought it up that, about that. And she said, yeah, I was actually in there for a little bit. And she said, I'm the one in the red shirt. So I had to go back and watch it again. And sure enough, there she is,
Yeah, she was a nurse in Woodhaven.
Yes,
she spent some time as a nurse, yes.
And I could not think of it to save my life. I was trying to tell somebody, and I said, yeah, it's when they shut down the original and they turned it into the, and I want to call it an old folks home, but it's not. It wasn't. I mean, not really. It was, I can't think of the name of it, what they call them places, but my wife used to
nurse.
One.
I believe it was Woodhaven Nursing Home. I think it was called.
Yeah, nursing home. Yes. My wife used to work at one. I ought to remember that. But anyway, and she, like I said, she told me quite a bit, and of course I had to rewatch it and see her in there, but yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I've talked to her, and she's a real sweet lady.
Yes, she is.
Now the Exorcist file. this is based on the actual. It was filmed in the actual building in the actual room where the exorcism took place. Is that right?
It was filmed in the home. The possession started in Maryland, and then he had gotten a fine to go to St. Louis, and so they packed up and went to visit their uncle in St. Louis, and they stayed there. And the house that the boy stayed in wasn't a girl. The boy stayed in is the house that we filmed in, and that was the house that pretty much all the possession started to get very serious, and then half the exorcism was performed there before he got too violent, and they had to move him to a hospital down the street. So we filmed in the house that most of this craziness happened in, and we were the first to go in there and do a paranormal investigation. And you can see that actually that show's on iTunes now. We just got it on iTunes, and it was in Redbox for a while. But it's a great show, and it kind of tells you the story behind the untold story of all the stuff you didn't know about it. Yeah.
It talks about the secret diary that was found in the 1949 exorcism involving a 13-year-old boy possessed by the devil. That inspired the book and the movie, The Exorcist. And Dark Place. I couldn't, how do I say this? I'm one of these people that doesn't scare very easy. So, if I would have been able to be there and be in that room, I would have been there. These things like this, they really happen, and people don't put enough, what's the word I'm looking for? You got so many people, that don't believe in all that stuff. But, I mean, possessions really do happen, and it's really scary stuff. And, if it happened, to one of them, I'm sure they'd have a different opinion. But to get actually, that was one of the more famous, I guess, cases of possession that I've ever heard of.
It's probably one of the most famous, mostly because they'd written a book about it and then turned it into a movie.
Exactly.
It truly is one of the most documented, with the diary of 26 pages, written by 14 priests, compiled by Raymond Bishop, who then obviously stored it at the Vatican. We got the pleasure of getting there was only 6 copies available. We got a number 6 copy of that, and of course we used that to basically script out our show and then go find out exactly what happened, and meet all the people that were still alive and interview them, and go to the places that they talked about and try to find all kinds of stuff that had happened. Of course we did, and it's an intense situation, very much.
How did these people feel about talking about that?
Some of them, of course, wanted to talk about it, and some of them didn't. And the ones that we did interview that would agree to talk about it, but they didn't want to be obviously recognized, we blurred their faces and changed their speech so they could kind of tell the story without possibly getting any sort of trouble from the family. Because we did interview the family, and we did interview the great niece of the real exorcist, and she wanted to tell the story. People wanted to know what really happened, and I think the more we found out, the crazier it got. I mean, it's like digging deeper until you hit something that's intense, and it's a story that I'll never ever forget. I mean, it's actually, I talk a lot about it in my book Paranormal, about all the stuff that had kind of reminisced when I got back to the studio to edit it, how the darkness was still with me when I was doing the show, when I was editing. Even after filming it, I felt the darkness had come with me, and how I had to deal with it, including when we had done the theatrical show in St. Louis, how I was attacked in a hotel room by an unseen force. So it's definitely a memorable experience that I went through that show.
Okay, we're going to do a quick call letter break here. We're live on WCJV Digital Broadcasting out of Youngstown, New York. This is Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio with your host, Roger Belt, and our special guest, Mr. Christopher St. Booth of the Booth Brothers. And I wanted to ask you, when you were in that room, when you guys were actually doing the filming in that room, did you feel like any negative presence, or could you tell that something really bad happened in there? Or
Well, I always had the pleasure of, or not pleasure, or just the understanding of feeling something, where vibes have happened, where sadness or oppression has gone down. Going into that house, knowing that everything you're about to document, 3/4 of it really happened. Following the diary, not in the movie, but actually following the diary and seeing what went down. It's very, very, very terrifying knowing that you're going into something that really happened. So when you get to the house, you can feel it's sort of off-kilter feeling. It's almost like a vortex is there. Everything is completely off-kilter, and you feel very sick to your stomach. And you just get very, very nervous very quickly. And, of course, you just need to get in there and film and do what you got to do. But it was a difficult case. It was definitely a difficult case, but I'm glad we did it.
that, I could picture myself in there and everything and feeling all the negative, vibes, I guess, from what took place in there. I don't think that would be the best feeling a person could have. I have a kind of I guess, sense of negative stuff sometimes, and I don't like it. Now, I had mentioned a little bit about the Spook TV, the Ghost of Waverly Hills, and I was telling you earlier that when I was there in the death tunnel, I did hear footsteps coming up from the bottom, and I don't know if it was that way when you guys were down in there, but it was so black you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
Well, I mean, I covered that a lot in my book. It's basically the first experience that actually made me interested in the paranormal, and it changed my life. Waverly Sanatorium. I mean, we went scouting there to film Death Tunnel.
You guys were when you started that filming of the movie, I guess, Death Tunnel. Mm-hmm. Is that when you realized that there was more to that place than just what you'd heard? Or
yeah, well, I mean, I was basically there to figure out, how we're going to film, how much crew we need, how much equipment, how much to run cable for lighting, where we're going to put our lights, and we scouted it. And of course, we went through the tunnel, went through the whole Waverly Hills. We did everything. And of course, while I was down at the bottom of the tunnel, the people that were with me walked up to the top and moved on to something else. It left me at the bottom of the tunnel, and I turned around and I felt something was watching me, and something was in front of me. And of course, I took a picture, and I ran up the tunnel, and I was filming and recording some audio. And by the time I got up to the top of the tunnel, I threw up. And then about 2 weeks later, when I went through my footage and my pictures, there was something standing right in front of me.
And I think I saw that picture too, actually.
Yeah. And I was a believer at that point.
And that's when you guys decided to do the documentary on the actual Waverly Hills?
To be honest with you, we decided to do the documentary out of respect to the patients, because I started realizing the sadness. I mean, we were there to do a horror movie, so there's no way I was going to make the truth into something zombie and apocalyptic where it was just so disrespectful. When I started finding out what was really going on, we wanted to do something that was also a tribute at the same time telling the story. So we decided that we would do a documentary of us filming a movie in a real haunted place, but finding out the truth. And the truth is we were talking to the real patients. We were talking to the real staff that was still around. We were talking to the real people that went in those places every day and seen what was still lingering, what was going on. And lots of archive footage, newspaper articles, putting it all together. We found out a lot of stuff that we didn't want to find out.
Right.
And that was in the documentary, and it changed our life. It really did. And obviously, that was the first one Sci-Fi picked up, so they felt it was, an incredible show for them to, want to get involved with. And after that, we've done 9 more shows for them. But it was definitely a show that changed my life. And the people I met were truly beautiful, too. And there's nothing better than walking through a place with a 90-year-old patient telling me the history of what they went through in this asylum. I mean, it would make your heart drop.
Right. And you guys were staying in a motel, hotel or something, and something decided to make you want to stay on the site and do that, and that's what I'm reaching for, I guess. The turning point that made you say, hey, we're not going to stay at this hotel. We're going to go stay on site and do this.
Well, we decided we would definitely hang out. I spent many nights in Waverly Hills, surrounded just by cameras, and some of them were right just by myself. And, of course, some of the nights nothing happened at all. And then the nights you didn't expect it, everything happened.
That's the way it usually works.
It is. So ghosts don't act on cue, and
exactly.
I go through a lot of the experience I went through in Waverly in my book about finding an old pair of shoes and a hairbrush, and then trying to track down the people that obviously used to own it, their family, and of course the heartbreak that I found at the end of that journey, and just all kinds of stuff. It was definitely something that I would have loved to have made a feature film just about the care and the love and the bravery that would have happened just trying to survive from tuberculosis back in the 1920s to the 1940s. It was a challenge. It was a challenge to do anything.
It's that place is amazing, and when I was there, I was on the 5th floor, and there's the story of the nurse that got pregnant out of wedlock and all that, and that she hung herself and I was standing in front of that room about where she supposedly hung herself, and I say supposedly because I can't prove she did, but anyway, I asked if she was there with me, and I was hoping to get a response from her, but I got a response, I think, from a patient saying, help me walk. And some of the things they did to people in there trying to relieve that tuberculosis, the pressure, I guess, they would remove ribs and stuff like that.
Correct. That's great that you got that. That's fabulous that you got that.
Yeah, and so they would have trouble walking because they wouldn't be, their skeleton is partially missing. So I thought, well, that verifies this EVP because that stuff actually happened.
Well, I mean, the great thing about when we were doing the show, but even still today, I get letters and I get people talking to me about, hey, my great-grandmother was in there, and, some of them send me, like, letters and diaries, and I have envelopes, here in the studio that says Room 429, Radio Sanatorium, actually old envelopes. But they actually mailed to the rooms,
I think there was a question up here earlier about, good God, it was way up here. I don't see it now. Let me get up here. Maybe I can find it real quick. We were talking about, it might have been when we were first mentioning Waverly Hills and somebody asked about another place. Cheryl, I think it was. Can you repeat that for me, Cheryl? Which place was it you were asking about? I think they want to know if you guys had done this place or not. Is she going to answer me here? Let me see. Ohio State Reformatory.
No, we were going to do it actually last year as we were going to do a benefit for Brian Wilson Sr. that had passed, but things just didn't work out as planned, and we ended up not being able to do it. But I wanted to do it. But I prefer to do places that, if we can, that nobody's done. We were one of the first that did Waverly before the Ghost Hunters actually came in and did it, which actually, even though it aired the same night Spooked aired on Sci-Fi, we actually were there before them. And it was pretty cool to be some of the first to do these places. We were the first to do the Exorcist House. We were the first to do the Wasika House, the Wasika Wonder House. We were the first to do a lot of the places in Ohio, Crownfield Cemetery in Indiana, in Indianapolis. So I like to do the places that nobody's really done. Ohio's incredible places like Eastern State Penn. But I think if we did it, I would want to go do a different take on it, something that you didn't know, a different view from it than just going ahead and doing the same stuff that everybody already knows about it. So, but I know it's a really cool place.
When people like, ghost hunters or ghost adventurers, they go into a place, they don't really go in there, I guess, to tell the story of the, the tragedy and everything behind these places. And I feel like that's what you guys do. So,
they go in as, most of them go in as ghost hunters. Meaning they're there to get a trophy, hang it on their wall, and say, hey, this is what I caught. And for TV networks, this is, that was a good thing. The ratings are good. You get to come to work. You get to come to work next week. We don't do that. We tell the stars of our shows are the spirits, the locations themselves, the history. And we don't care if it's haunted. We care why it's haunted. It's much important. We're there to, obviously create closure. Like I said, I deal with a lot of this in the book about how I feel and what things really should be done and how, actually how TV works in the paranormal. But it's important to especially in a tragedy situation and residual haunting is going on. If you don't form some kind of closure, like it's just going to keep going on, or at the same time, it's just going to get worse. And a lot of, like you said, these people do not do anything except for just go in there, and it's about me. It's a self-serving situation.
Exactly.
And I never thought paranormal was ever self-serving until obviously it got to the entertainment value of it. So I mean, everybody's got to take it with a grain of salt. It's kind of like watching Sharknado. It's just going to be silly when you watch it.
Well, and that's why I like, the attitude that you guys go in with, because, you're there to tell the tragedy. You're there to let people know what these people suffered, It's not about, well, this looks good on TV and we'll get good ratings, like that. So, I commend you guys on that.
Well, thank you. Well, we're about to try and do that again. We're actually leaving next week. I can't talk too much about it, but we're shooting a pilot for a new show that we developed, and it's just basically about the seriousness of what we're looking for and obviously getting closure, and in some very serious cases that no one's ever touched. Some cases I'm sure you're even aware of, but nobody's actually touched them yet as far as gotten them out there and actually told the story behind the story. Remember, that's what we do. We tell the story behind the story. You end up finding out that the story behind the story is far more crazier than the story itself.
In my opinion, it's kind of like when I do an investigation, I don't go in just for the paranormal aspect as much as I go in for the history of the place and the paranormal aspect. So I kind of combine both of them, I want to know about the history. I want to know about, what it was like when the place was built, who lived there, what they did. I want to see, I guess, remnants of the past that they left behind, because that's as interesting to me as everything else.
Well, it is, but it's also going to help you find what you're looking for and find what they're looking for. what you're looking for is what they're looking for, which is closure, which is a completion, some form of completion, so they can move on. They can say, okay, I found it, or we've told the story you need to tell, but your life was cut too short, so you weren't able to tell it, so we're here to hopefully get it right, and that will cause some kind of closure. And,
exactly.
That goes for soldiers who get taken before they know it, and they think they're still fighting, or children who don't even know which direction to go because obviously they have not been told, about some of the supernatural world or the other side, and they need to be, obviously someone needs to guide them, so they're still wandering, looking for their mother and the father when they're taken at an early age. And I'd hate to think that some hoodlum dude's coming in there calling them a demon and saying all kinds of crazy stuff when you have no idea who you're dealing with. I don't care what you say. You would never have really truthfully know who you're dealing with. I mean, sometimes you obviously get clues and ideas by some of the things they say. They recognize some of the past and obviously some of the EVPs you might be able to get out of them, but you never know for sure who you're talking to.
That's true. And in my opinion, spirits have feelings too. They were once people.
They were people, and they still are, except they're stuck, or they're caught in where they're moving on. It's like getting all your affairs together before you move on. If you truly have made peace with yourself, and you truly have gotten all your, items together, then you can say, okay, I can go now. But a lot of people don't have that. They're still worried about this. Well, obviously, if you're taken before your time, you don't even have time to do that. You want to make sure your children are safe. You want to make sure your husband or wife is okay, that you did tell them, I love you for one last time, and that's taken away from you. So we as paranormal investigators have to go in there and make sure that we tell their story correctly. We don't exaggerate, obviously exploit it to the max that it turns into, TMZ or, Jersey Shore or something like that. But it's done very beautiful and told very respectfully. And then we hope from telling the story correctly, if we can, that helps them move closer and move on to the light and get the closure that we all hope.
And that is what, I think everybody that does paranormal investigation should take all that into consideration. And if you work for a TV network, you can pretty much bet that's not going to be part of the agenda. I hate to say that, but it's true.
Well, we hope our new show will do just that. That in our it's a reality show, but in our scripting of the concept of what it must stay and maintain is that it has real scares, real truth, real emotion, real findings, real people, all that. It has to be very real, and whether obviously it's going to be very dark, because some of the cases that we start shooting at the beginning of the month are really scary. I mean, very dark of what happened. But people that are missing, people that are truly gone, and there's no sign of them. They ended up 2 weeks later from that incident and they're dead and nobody knows who killed them. But their spirit's still roaming and crazy stuff is still going on. I mean, very dark subject matters that I believe need to be solved. And we hope that, our new show is going to do that and bring in a lot of the emotion that we've been obviously continuing to do.
And I will be looking forward to watch your show because I'm familiar with how you guys do things. So I know it's not going to be another one of those, whatever we got to say to get a rating. So I'll be looking really forward to watching that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, I touch a lot about all these things in the book, over 28 different cases. I mean, some of them are really, truly... one of the cases that I remembered is one we did in Tennessee. We were just talking about that early before we went live on the air. It was in some part of, I can't even remember exactly the city. It was just outside of Nashville. But it was a crazy case. It went down, and it had to do with incubus and succubus, and the mother was dealing with witchcraft, and she knew all the demons' names. And suddenly the children knew the demons' names, and it got crazier and crazier. And what had happened in that house was really serious, And these are some of the cases associated. I could even put them. We filmed it. We filmed all these, but we didn't actually put them out because we weren't sure what to do with them because we're very they were overwhelming. So I ended up putting them in the book, and I hope that the book explains my theories of what actually happened that day and that night. See, sometimes in a paranormal event, it ends up being a human event, and it's hard to figure out exactly the direction you go. So,
Caller, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
I am just fine. You have a question for Christopher?
Hey, Chris. It's Della.
hello, Della. How are you?
I am fine. I was just telling Rachel I am trying to work out where I'm going down to see you and her. I miss you, guys. Hey, a lot of people are saying that they didn't believe we have a lot of haunts around, and we do, and stuff. I just wanted to call in because I talked to you earlier telling you that I was cleaning and cooking and stuff, but I took a minute just to say hi and miss you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I miss you too, darling.
And everything, and give Rachel a hug and everything, and I'll see you guys hopefully, if my daughter will let me. She turns 18 the weekend when I believe you guys will be in Louisville still. I'm not for sure if you'll be in Louisville. If not, I'm going to be at Scarefest. I'm going to try that
Scarefest
too.
will be great. Scarefest will be great, definitely. It's a big show, and all the shows are going to be great. But I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I'm trying to work it out with my son to watch the house and watch the animals, and so I can get down there.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing you, darling.
All right. Well, thank you, and you take care. I just wanted to call in and say hi.
Great hearing from you. Very, very nice hearing from you.
Okay. Thank you. You take care. Congratulations on the book. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, lines are open. If anybody has a question for Christopher, we have about 8 minutes left. So, okay, well, if they call in, they'll call in, and we'll stop whatever we're doing. Can you kind of give people the places where they can order this book from, or?
Yeah, the first edition, which is obviously the first edition that just went out. There's about 10 copies left. We only made 100 of them just to get them out before the second edition hits Amazon and goes all out there. So we have about 10 left, and they're autographed, signed, and numbered, and you can get them at spooktv.com, www.spookedtv.com. Like I said, there's about 10 left, and I will autograph them for you, and they're signed and numbered, and they're definitely a collector's item. And like I said, there's over 28 maddening, crazy paranormal chapters in here about everything that we went through and what I believe is going on, and compared to a lot of the different descriptions of things that people are saying, aliens and shadow people and all this, of what we experienced. So you can get that, like I said, at spooktv.com.
Okay, caller, you're on the line.
All right, it's me again, Chris. It's Della. I have 2 questions for you. Have you got done with voodoo and vampires yet?
No, we haven't. I've actually, I was in the middle of it, and I took a break to write the book. So there you go.
And I knew you guys were like in the process of it. I didn't know if you guys were done and finished or whatever. And then
we actually were. We were in the middle of it, and then we got approached by a network to do a pilot for a reality show that we were able to stay on our guidelines of how we wanted to do it, and they saw eye to eye on exactly what we wanted to do. So we're going to go ahead and start filming it next week, and we hope that, everything will work out with it, and hopefully it will continue to be a couple of good seasons, if not many more. But meanwhile, at that point, after this, finishing this book, which is obviously took a lot out of me, not being really much of a reader of books, I just wanted to put it down and really tell people exactly what we went through, and I really enjoyed doing it. I have to say, doing the book, it really got a lot of my emotion onto paper, and it obviously flowed out of me, and that actually with voodoo and vampires, that's what I'd like to do the same. I'd actually want to write down in a book of exactly what happened to us, to do with all the craziness of voodoo and the vampires we went through, and then of course use that book as the script for the documentary.
I have a couple of questions from the chat room real quick for you. Johnny wants to know, have you thought about doing the book in an audio book?
I thought about it. I didn't know how many people. I'd love to do it because I thought about doing the book in an audio thing, but I wanted to also put a little music in it, some sound effects and stuff like that, and put the real EVPs in it. I wanted to do it different than just a narration, even though there's nothing wrong with a narration book. But I actually very seriously thought about putting out. I just wanted to get everybody's feedback if they thought that'd be something they'd be interested in. And if it was, then I would go produce it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would.
I have another question. I'm sorry for bothering you.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
And I know I've already, because we've known each other for a really long time, Chris. But I just want to, so everybody knows, what is, out of all your cases and everything, which one is the most that you would like to go back to? Would you like to come back to St. Louis and, or somewhere? You know what I'm saying? Out of all of them.
I think I would want to go back to Waverly, but it's changed at Waverly. It's really different. I mean, I people that I know that have visited it. I mean, it's still a cool place. It always will be a cool place. But it's changed a lot since we were there. We were there back in 2004, so it was, very much more realer as far as what you wanted to get out of it. Now it's maybe a little bit more touristy, I don't know, but I would have liked to have gone to that,
I haven't been back to Waverly since 2010, and you know how many times I go to Louisville. And the way I understand it, it's still going to be a bed and breakfast. So, that's the way I understand it.
Mars in the chat room is asking, how much did the TV show True Blood come close to the fact about vampires?
Just to the fact that it was shot in Louisiana, which is a lot of them seem to want to call their home base. True Blood, I only saw the first few seasons. I thought it was a very entertaining show. Vampirism is pretty much more of an energetic thing. In the sense of it's you've heard of energy vampires, and you've heard of that sort of situation that steal everything that they're going. They're all ones that drink blood. Obviously, they, whether they cut and they drink their own blood or drink other people's blood, and some of them are very dangerous. Vampires are really not. Vampires are really not like what they are portrayed like.
T-Love was asking, is there going to be another book?
I hope so. I mean, I probably would do one on the like I was saying, on the voodoo and the vampires, and some of the other things that I've gone through. We'll see how this one does first, and if it does pretty well, then that would give me inspiration to write another one, I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and hang up, but thank you.
Thank you, Della.
Okay.
Take care.
I had a question from Toby in chat, and I'm trying to get back up there to it because he was asking about shadow people. He said something about he believes they do interact.
Well, funny you should say is in my book I talk a lot about, there's actually, I think, 3 chapters that it goes into, obviously being involved in Zombie Road, which was a lot of shadow people that were after. But the EVPs, a lot of people may know that, but in Children of the Grave, we found that nest of shadow children that we were looking for.
Right, I remember that. They were like
the
up on the hill or something.
The EVPs that we found were not really showed off in that show due to time and everything we needed to do. But the kind of the EVPs I found were very different than any kind of EVP I have ever heard, and that is what actually made me start in my theory and my research to what else they could be besides shadow people. And that's obviously what I've got involved in. But I talk a lot about shadow people in my book and what I feel they could be, and what very much what you should have on your team nowadays when you're investigating them. And it's a very interesting theory. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it.
Awesome. Kenny in the chat room was asking if you've ever checked out some of the historical locations in Long Island for possible future documentaries.
Well, Kenny, I have actually, and they're exciting. They're incredible. I checked out a lot of the islands that are out there. So I wanted to do a thing on leprosy on the leper islands, as well as there were some Civil War situations that were going on out there with a lot of soldiers that were found. Basically, they all were missing their forearm. They were actually slave soldiers, and it was weird that 100 of these skeletons were found with no forearms. I found that very fascinating. But there's a lot of New York locations I would die to do, and I'm hoping that we can get out there and do that, and hopefully maybe this show that we're attempting to start, which starts next week, we're filming it, will lead to us be able to get and do it with that show. Of course, if we don't, we might do it in one of the documentaries.
Okay, and Toby was asking about what about a non-work ghost town?
Sounds great. I would love to. Ghost towns are great, and I've always been a Western fan too.
Oh, I love ghost towns.
I've always found the whole Tombstone thing a little sexy, if you know what I mean. It's just a great. It fascinates me. I mean, obviously that's what it's all about, isn't it? To have passion and to be very excited about what you do. When it starts to where you don't have excitement and passion, you probably should move and do something different.
Exactly.
I would love to do a ghost town. And though I heard Tombstone, everybody keeps saying, Tombstone's not that good, Tombstone's not that great, and I've never done Tombstone, so I'm not sure.
Tombstone, that would be a good one, actually.
Again, I'd like to do whatever we do has to come from a different angle. It can't just be the same silliness, and I mean that because I think you guys know what I mean when I say silliness.
Well, to get behind the story behind the story of Tombstone would be really good.
Yes, it would. But I would think that would also involve Native Americans because they were a very big part of that whole era.
Right.
And what went on, so.
Okay, we're about 3 minutes past. It's been an honor having you, and if there's any links or stuff that you want to get out, feel free to go ahead and do that.
Well, just if you are dying to read the copy of my book, like I said, I have 10 copies left of the first edition before it hits the second edition. It's called Paranoid, The Strange Case of Ghosts, Demons, and Aliens, and it's an incredible adventure behind the scenes of what really goes on, and what I believe is what we should do more of in the paranormal investigations and the future of where we're going with it. And you get it at spooktv.com. Use your computer, though. We're not mobile friendly. I want you to use your desktop view, but it's at www.spooktv.com. And you can also find all the information on my Facebook page. But basically, it's been a pleasure, Roger. I thank you for having me.
Johnny has one more question for you real quick. He said, being a musician, what types of music do you like to listen to most?
Well, I mean, depends what mood I'm in. Obviously, it's like to write, I listen to a lot of ambient music, I listen to a lot of spiritual music when I'm writing and when I'm meditating. I focus on that because I think it's what keeps me sane. My personal music styles, I write a lot of music, soundtrack music, so I'm very much into people like Peter Gabriel, which I love. I also love Nine Inch Nails, so, and all that sort of stuff. Manson. I love pretty much all music, except for rap. I'm not a big rap fan. Nothing wrong with it, but I'm not a big rap fan. But, no, I just, anything that's a good song and means well. I'm not into, obviously true pop music. I used to do that for a living, so I'm kind of grown out of that, really. And, I love the 70s, Led Zeppelin as well, and U2 in the 80s and stuff. But I pretty much listen to spiritual music nowadays because I'm doing a lot of writing and creating. So I kind of just drone myself out so I can drift into the creation part of it. And also it gets rid of the stress of the everyday stress that knocks at your door. And of course, if that doesn't work, I turn up Avenged Sevenfold really loud, and that gets rid of it. So there you go.
Johnny says he looks forward to reading it, so I'm assuming he's going to get the book. And
awesome. I think you'll love it.
And I will be getting it soon also myself. And anyway, like I said, it's been a real honor having you on. One of these days, I hope I can get you and Philip both to come on and talk. I think that'd be a really interesting show and a lot of information coming from two angles. So...
Well, definitely. Like I said, hopefully we're going to go do a pilot for the show, and hopefully everything goes well with it. But it's going to be the cases that we're touching. Some of them I'm sure some people know about some of these cases, but nobody's ever done a serious documentaries on them.
What network is the reality show going to be on?
I can't really talk about any of that. I kind of signed under disclosure that I can't discuss it. I'm just telling you that we're out there going to go out and put something together, and we hope that it all works out. I can tell you that it's kind of like a reality. If you've ever seen the TV show Salem and Penny Dreadful, those TV shows, they're very much like that, but reality. It's that dark and that hard. But they're like a true supernatural detective show. They're really cool. It's going to be really cool.
Well, I can't wait for it to come out. I want to see it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Let's hope everything goes well. That's all we can do. So.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, brother, it's been an honor having you. And all you people in the chat room, thank you for coming. Everybody on your iPhones, iPads, what have you, couldn't do a show without you. It's been an honor having everybody. Next week, I have Kimberly Stein, who has a true life horror story to tell, so you guys don't want to miss that. And we are going to say our farewells, and everybody be sure to get Christopher's book. I think you'll love it. Marianne said it went by too fast. And it did. It does. It goes by quick. But it's been a great show. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye now.
With infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space. Yet across an immense ethereal gulf, minds that are to our minds, ours as the beasts in the jungle, intellects vast, cool, and unsympathetic, regarded this earth with envious eyes, slowly and surely drew their plans against us.
You are listening to WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York, the CJ Mars Radio Network.